Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Love Your Vibe podcast. I am your host, Sean Robert Grant. Super excited and happy to be here with you today. Hello to everybody, wherever you may be. Facebook just went live, and that is awesome. Hello to everybody on Facebook. Just got started with the podcast. That's rolling. And do we have a message for you today, okay? And so if you've read the title in the description, which you should always read the title in the description whenever it comes to these live videos, you know we're going to talk about weight loss today, okay? We're going to talk about weight loss. We're going to talk about perfect weight. We're going to talk about ideal weight. We're going to talk about you feeling your best, your greatest, your most confident, and basically, we're going to talk about how you can do that without lifting a finger, okay? So let me clarify something here really quickly. So when I say reach your ideal weight without lifting a finger, what I'm implying is that you've got to get it right from a mental standpoint and from a heart standpoint before you can go to start picking up weights and go to start running 6 or 7 miles. The biggest issue, and I've been through this myself, is when we try to lift weights, when we try to lose weight. Oh, I just kind of turned that to the other side. Okay. When we try to lose weight, what tends to happen is this. There you go. What tends to happen is we just go right after it without making any type of connection to our bodies, okay, to our minds, to our spirits. All three of those are lined up, okay? So before you say, oh, I got to lose 10 pounds, let me run off to the gym, you know what you need to do? You need to stop, take a few moments to process as to why, okay? Why this needs to be the case. Why does this have to happen for me? And there's usually a very good reason why, because you feel like you've gained too much or whatever, or you just feel like you can be slimmer, trimmer, thinner, whatever it is. But there is a perfect way to get this process moving in motion to the point where you don't even have to kill yourself, okay? Because a lot of times we spend hours and hours at the gym trying to obliterate our bodies for what? To not lose one single pound, even if the diet and the exercise is quote unquote perfect and on point, because there's something that's missing, and we're going to talk about that today. And so I just want to give you a bit of background on how I learned this concept for myself and how I know that it works and how I've seen it work in other people and how I've seen it work the opposite way in other people, which is pretty astonishing when you think of it. So for my entire life, I would say from the time I was about 16, 17 years, and just to be completely honest, I possessed a physique that could have allowed me to be on as many magazines, health magazines, as I could have wanted to, right? Hands down. From the time I was about 16 or 17 to the time I was about 33, 34 years old, that was my physique, right? And so all of a sudden, everything started to change. And I didn't know why, because here's the kicker. My eating habits didn't change. My workouts didn't change. Slightly, but not very much, not enough to produce the metamorphosis that took place or transformation. And it was absolutely baffling to me until I was able to go deeper, to dig deeper, and to see what was the catalyst to that change, right? And if you've read I posted an article yesterday, you can kind of have an idea what I'm getting at, but it's so much better just to hear it from the horse's mouth. So what transpired was over the course of those 15, 16 years, there was a mantra, an affirmation. I don't want to say affirmation, but a powerful statement that I held with conviction within my deeper mind, my subconscious mind. Okay? And because I held that with conviction, it fed my cells, all trillion, all ones not born, getting ready to be born. It fed them the idea that I was giving to it, right? Until one day, it all changed because I felt there was a kink in the armor, and instead of me continuing to feed my unconscious mind, my subconscious mind, the idea that I was still in this Greek god physique, it became, oh no, I don't want to gain weight. I don't want to get fat. And guess what? If you're familiar with the laws of mind, if you listen to this podcast enough, you know that the very thing you avoid, you give energy to, and it begins to unfold in your life. Okay? Facebook Live just kind of cut off on me, so stay with me. So that very thing that you begins to unfold is the thing that you tried to avoid. All right? And so when you understand the truth of what is transpiring, right? When you understand the truth of what is transpiring, here's what happens. All right? Here's what happens. You put yourself into a place to where the idea that you're playing over and over and over within your mind is not the idea that you're playing over and over in your mind is not the idea that's going to help you be the very best that you can be. It's just not, right? It's not, because once again, that which you are avoiding is what you're giving energy to. That which you are trying to not engage in is exactly the thing, okay, is exactly the thing that's going to transpire. All right? So let me once again give you an example. We're about to get right back up here on Facebook. I don't know why it gave some issues streaming, but I'm going to give you an example here in just a bit. Okay, so here's an example. So for my entire life, I was just in tip-top shape. And it's because I was feeding my unconscious, my subconscious mind, my cells. Welcome back, Facebook. Sorry for the situation, but we're back in here. So as I'm feeding that one firm conviction of I am the essence of perfect health, that was my conviction that I fed to my cells. My cells went to work on that, and that shaped the body that I have. That shaped the physique that I came into. It kept all weight off. It kept all excess anything. It kept anything that wasn't a part of my ideal physique and existence. It basically took care of it. It alleviated it. This is how powerful our minds are, and why we first have to come to a place to where we're set in the mind before we start moving the body and working the body. Okay? But then the moment I begin to believe, and that's the issue there, is that I began to believe, okay, that I was getting bigger or that I was gaining weight, it was a done deal. And it was one of the most frustrating times of my life. Why? Because I couldn't figure out why this was happening, But it was taking place at a subconscious level. Once again, I was trying to avoid the very thing I feared, as opposed to canceling it out right away and saying, you know what? No, I'm in terrific shape. I'm actually doing really well. I can actually be better. And you know what? I'm going to focus on taking it one day at a time and being better. And if I would have fed my cells that body would have still been a reality for me. But because I didn't know what I know now, I fell victim to weight gain, got up to about 230 pounds, frustrated, big, can't run, feeling sloppy, just not knowing what to do. And then I discovered, wait a minute. So if you're into science, you know that your body builds a new one of itself every, let's say, 10 to 11 months. Okay? It's a scientific fact. Really, really neat. So every 10 to 11 months, it builds a brand new you. Now, what's so compelling about this is that you get to decide what that new you looks like, and this is the secret. What you feed your cells, okay? Because your cells are just energy building blocks, and they just kind of move like this, okay? They're up and down. Cells are moving like that. When you're in shape, your cells are still vibrating, okay? When you get obese, your cells just kind of stop and become stagnant, and eventually they die, all right? So that's actually what happens on a cellular level below the surface. So what we want is our cells to continue to move, and the only way they can move is if they are fed with feeling, with conviction, the essence of perfect health, right? So if you're an avid listener to this podcast, or you're a spiritual person, you may say something like me, I infuse every one of my cells with infinite divine love, light, and truth, right? And I say that, and I'll say that as many times as I feel the need to, and I will see my cells respond to that command, right? And see, the universe is no respecter of persons, so it can go either way. It can go in a way where all of a sudden you're looking your very best, and it can go in a way where you're looking your absolute most terrible. But it's up to you to decide, okay? So in doing that, and what's interesting for me when I figured out this process is all of a sudden I would feel my body make some kind of reaction. Something would move, like a cough, or a sneeze or something like that, for my subconscious mind to confirm that it got the message. And I would just continue to affirm that. I kept watering that seed. After that seed was planted, I kept watering it. Before you know it, I look up. I had missed the gym like 5 or 6 days, and I'm losing weight. All of a sudden, my face goes from being really fat and chunky to I can see my jawline again. And I hadn't been to the gym yet, right? But it was because the cells had gotten the right message that I wanted to convey, okay? Now, stay with me. This is important, not only for you, but just as important for your partner or whoever you spend a lot of time around, because here's the thing, especially when it comes to your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, a lot of times they will hold power over you because you love and you respect their decisions. So in knowing that you have that kind of power, really be mindful of what you're telling your spouse, because guess what? They can be the one to plant a seed, and all of a sudden you're like a blimp getting ready to fly away, and you just don't know why. But the fact of the matter is you've accepted the seed that they've planted, right? So what do you have to do? You always have to cultivate your garden, your subconscious mind. You always have to remember, okay, look at your body every single day and say, what am I feeding it on a cellular, spiritual, energetic level? Because it starts there and then it goes to everything else. And you know what the beauty is that once your unconscious mind grabs a hold of this concept, working out becomes fun. Being active becomes easy. Going for a run, going for a jog becomes like basically one of the easiest tasks that you could ever do. And it's all because it's coming from the place where everything is easy if you can plan it there, and that is subconscious, right? 95% of what we do, our behaviors, is controlled by the subconscious mind, not the conscious mind, right? And so for us, it's up to us to ensure that it's getting the right message, that the cells are getting the right message. That is the secret. I don't care how big you are right now. I don't care how out of shape you are. If you can feed the right type of message to all trillion of your cells presently and the ones developing, I promise you, you will get to your perfect weight. You will get to your ideal weight. You will rise higher on such a dynamic level in the sense of perfect health, because we live in a world that's truly free will. And we don't have to be one thing or the other, but we get to choose. Okay? We get to choose whether we're going to be fat or overweight. And we get to choose whether we're going to be at our ideal weight. Right? But it's up to us to choose. And so when you understand that, all of a sudden, you do what you need to do to make those changes, to transform your body, but more importantly, and I've done this for so long, whenever I started Sean Grant Fitness, I always had the moniker of saying I transform minds as well as bodies, because guess what? Your body can't transform if your mind's not aligned with it. It just won't happen. It just won't work. You see people go to the gym for 25 years and they still have a beer gut because the mind hasn't given the body the message that the body needs in order to rebuild itself in a way that would fit into the ideal scenario. All right? So you got to sit and you got to think about that. So if you look at yourself today, because our bodies are basically just our residual self-image of what we've been telling ourselves for the last, how long? Probably 10 or 11 months, I would assume, considering we build a new one every 10 to 11 months. But how you look today is a residual self-image of what you hold to be true about you and about your body. So what is that message, right? What is that message? And this is where you really got to be careful, even joking wise. You can't all of a sudden stuff around in your face like, I'm a fat ass. You ever seen that movie, The Secret? The genie comes out, your wish is my command. And all of a sudden, you just got an appetite to where you want to eat more. You look up a month later and you're like 15 pounds heavier, right? So it's understanding the magnitude of some of these things that happen. And then all of a sudden they play out because the subconscious says, oh, got it, chief, right? Because the subconscious mind has no feeling. It can blow up your life or it can make your life ideal. But it's all up to you. So whatever you say, it's going to take. And here's the kicker. When there is emotion, when there is feeling behind it all, guess what? That's the thing it's going to take to the most. This is why we've got to be careful when it comes to negativity or anything that's not of a positive, uplifting nature. Because, see, negative emotion is so charged up with energy that you can say something negative, and because the emotion is so strong behind it, the subconscious mind takes it right away and is already running down the straightaway. Just imagine like trying to catch Usain Bolt and he has like a 70-meter head start. That's kind of what happens when the subconscious mind sees something. It's like almost in the blink of an eye. It takes it and it's already working on it. And you know this because your thoughts start to convey the message that you've implanted, right? And if it's a good message, it's like, you know what? You've done really well at the gym. You're really doing it. You're really dedicated. You're really changing your life. You look so good. Go take a look in the mirror, like love yourself more. You're amazing. Or it's like, oh my gosh, your fat thighs. You're like, oh, your head's so big. Your cheeks are fat. Like, so all I'm saying is we get to choose what direction we go in by feeding the cells, implanting the subconscious mind with the idea or the conviction that can make the difference. This reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever read the book or not, or just come into contact with the story of Dr. Masaru Emoto. I think I said that right. And how he basically manipulated the form of water with certain words. And so if you hadn't seen this experiment, I highly encourage you to go Google it right now and just to see what type of shapes came about from water as it was exposed to certain sounds and certain words, which both carry a vibration, right? Both of those carry a vibration. So, but what we found is the shapes with positive, uplifting words that are normally filled with emotions created the most beautiful, celestial, angelic figures you could ever imagine. And all the negative words, basically all you saw was chaos. It looked like it looked demonic in a sense when you saw the negative words compared to the positive words. So what does this tell us? Especially knowing that our bodies are like 60 to 70% water. Whatever we feed to ourselves, our bodies are going to respond to it, right? So if you're out of shape, you're too big, you're out of breath most of the time, guess what? You're feeding your body something that's causing it to do that, to be that way. And it's, this is not easy to take in. This is not an easy thing to say, okay, you know what, I can be honest with myself, that has been the case. But if you want to see the change or the transformation, you got to do it. You got to do it because that's the only way that you can change. That's the only way you can transform it. Now, if you're in really good shape and you're healthy, more importantly, you know that you've been feeding your body a healthy visual, a healthy image, a healthy self-psychology. And that's where we want to be. So how do we do that? Well, that's why I'm here, because I'm going to show you. Okay, so whenever we are introducing a new idea or a new truth, to our composition, our entire divine being, we first have to ensure that we are in a relaxed state, a relaxed manner. And the easiest way to do that is to move to a place of compassion. Okay? Now, it's okay to say this multiple times, but if you really do this right, you'll see it just happen immediately, right? Because it's all about getting the subconscious mind on board, which then gets the cells on board, which then moves throughout your body, which then affects the thoughts, which then leads to the actions that create the perfect weight loss or the ideal weight. Okay, so you want to get relaxed as much as you possibly can. All right, and compassion, for me, I know compassion really puts me into that place. It really just, okay? And with that compassion, you just stay with your breathing. And you stay with your breathing. A really great idea would just to be do this in the mirror and just look yourself directly in the eyes and say a compelling, just powerful statement filled with so much magnitude. Because ultimately, if the words resonate with you on a higher vibration, that's going to add to the idea of it working in an even greater capacity. Okay? So for example, for me, I'm a spiritual person. So, I always add the divine somehow or another in there. If I was doing this and I wanted to change my body, I wanted to transform my body, what I would do is either go lay down and just get quiet, right? Or I would go into the mirror and I would just look at myself. Because something happens when you look at yourself in the mirror and you just sit there and you stare and you get to see who you really are. Not the body, but the awareness behind it. All of a sudden it creates this essence of love, right? And when you're really at that point That's when you make your mantra, your statement. And it can be short, it can be long, it just needs to be powerful. And so I'll give you an example of what I say. All I say is, thank you, dearest God in me, that every single cell in my being is infused with infinite divine love, light, and truth. And you know what happens because I'm so relaxed and I say that? Something shifts in my body, especially if I'm out of alignment with that, right? If I'm consciously out of alignment, something shifts back to get into alignment. And I notice I begin to feel more relaxed. I begin to feel more powerful. Sometimes I even get goosebumps, right? Because I'm elevated to a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of being. And then all of a sudden, just to be completely honest with you, you may have to go to the bathroom. You may feel the need to go eat a salad. And like, it's on this level where it's like, I just need to have a salad. Not that I'm like obsessive, give me a salad, but I'm like, I just really want a salad right now, or so many things begin to happen because the cells have got the message and they're just going to work. And these things work by divine intelligence, which means they can't mess up. They can't fail. They just go to work and they start doing all the stuff for you. And before you know it, that's all you've done. And you hadn't even gone to the gym yet. You hadn't even looked up the Jenny Craig diet or whatever that foolishness is. And I can't call it foolishness. That's terrible. But, you don't really need that stuff. It's just gimmicks, right? That's probably why they cut me off earlier, because they knew I was getting to this point. It's just gimmicks. All of that like weight gain, weight loss stuff. You don't need that. All you need is your mind to feed your body and to allow that to take, and you just follow the steps. You follow the steps. And when I did this, I literally would go to the gym for 10 minutes. Nothing longer than 25, 30 minutes, but mostly 10 minutes, get in there, get what I need to get done. All of a sudden, my body's changing to the way that it used to be, and I'm exerting less effort because guess what? My cells have the signal. My cells have the message that they need to be what I need them to be. And it's the most beautiful thing ever. And guess what? You don't have to go through being in a position where you go to your relative's place and you can't eat certain things because you just think it's going to make you big. No, here's the thing. Once something gets into your subconscious mind and you water that seed, right? You water that seed, that thing is there until you allow something stronger to uproot it or replace it. Other than that, it's there, right? It's there and it is working for you in such an amazing capacity. And it just starts there. And I tell you, it becomes enjoyable. It no longer becomes torture where, if you have a piece of cake or a cookie or something like that, then you're out running 15 miles the next day. Like, that's torture, right? You can have the cookie or the cake and all of a sudden it just drops off because it's not in congruence with the definitive conviction or state that you have subconsciously. I'm telling you, when you get this down, it's worth greater than $1 million because you already have what you need to change yourself. You don't have to spend 1 red cent or circulate 1 red cent on stuff that promises to make you lose weight, but all of a sudden, it may make you lose weight, but it puts your body into a catastrophic state to where it's completely in shock. Why not do it the natural, organic, divine way that it's always been meant to be done? And that is connect with the mind first. Feed the cells, and the weight that doesn't belong there will cease to exist. It will begin to fall off of your body. And it's just that simple. That simple. That easy. Nothing else to it. And all you have to do is just trust the process. Trust the process as it goes along. And I promise you, it'll start first with thoughts, and then feelings, and then certain shifts and moves in the body, and then activity. You realize, I never ever wanted to do this, but I have a feeling to pick this up. Why? Because your behavioral patterns have changed at the deeper level where it matters the most, right? This is how people become rich who've been poor for their entire lives, or you've been poor the first part of their lives, because their behavioral patterns around money have changed. Same with health, same with relationships, same with everything. It works with everything, right? So I want you to try that. Remember that statement I said. I'll give you another statement if you're not religious or spiritual. But the statement I use, I get quiet, I come down to a relaxed place through compassion, and I say, thank you, God, in me for infusing every cell in my being with unlimited or infinite divine love, light, and truth. Now, if you're not spiritual, there's something else you can say. Thank you that every one of my cells are infused with the infinite essence of perfect health. Okay? Change that up any way you need to, but say that and sit with it and watch what happens. Watch what unfolds. I promise you, it's pure magic. Pure magic. All right. So with that being said, this is all I got for you, because guess what? I'm hungry and I'm ready to eat now. But if you found value and benefited from this content, guys, feel free to donate. Donations are gratefully and lovingly accepted at Venmo. Venmo is your spirit, your money. PayPal is SHAUNG04 at gmail.com. It's in the description right over here. We greatly appreciate you. I'm telling you, this will change your life. Share this video, share this concept. It will change everybody's life who's willing to accept it. And with that being said, happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday to my podcasters. We are out of here. Take care.